guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. First of all, thank you so much for all of the questions that you've asked this week. There's an absolute ton of them. Thank you for all of the feedback and all of the comments and all the other videos. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the Q&A, the idea is simple. I don't prepare the answers to these questions. So what you're getting is my off-the-cuff kind of raw and filtered answers to these questions. If I think a question needs a longer answer, I'll let you know that and I'll use it as the basis to form a longer video at some point in the coming weeks. Also, don't forget, I film these around about Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes a Thursday. It's currently 6 in the morning on a Wednesday, which means that if you want to have your questions answered, you need to get them to me really by a Tuesday. Because else I'll have filmed this and then I'll have missed any ones that come in after that. If I do miss a question, I'm very sorry. Just ask it again down below and I'll get to it the following week. With that all being said, there are a ton of questions this week and that's awesome. So again, thank you so much for everybody that continues to interact with this channel. And without further ado, let's get into this week's questions. Okay, so the first question is from Stephen Peters, and the question is, what happened to the Ben Harris Symmetry, Parity, and Chimera deck video you mentioned last week? Yeah, I had to move that back a week, mainly because there were audio problems on the live performances that I did. So I did some performances of the different routines, so you guys can see exactly what they look like. And then when we edited it all together, the audio had dropped, and unfortunately, with James Keatley, filming James Keatley's stuff and being out the office and so on and so forth, I wasn't able to get those live performances again. But everything is edited, everything is done, the interview is sorted, it's all done. So the Symmetry, Parity, and Chimera deck video will be going up on Sunday at 9 o'clock. So it's going to go up this evening. So I'm sorry it got delayed a week, that's why, but it's up for you guys to enjoy tonight. Okay, so the next question is from Tyler Erickson, and Tyler says, "Hey Craig, love the content." Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for all you do. I have a question whether I should join the SAM or the IBM. Can't do both, but I'd like to join one for more exposure, practice, knowledge, and meeting other magicians. In your opinion, which one's better than the other? Which one should I join? Thanks. Now, I'm not the person to answer this, mainly because I don't live in America, and so SAM, and for people that don't live in America that don't know, SAM stands for the Society of American Magicians. I'm not a member of SAM. I actually want to join, but I'm not a member of SAM, so I don't know anything about it. I don't know the benefits of joining SAM or anything. IBM, which is the International Brotherhood of Magicians, I am a member of the British Ring of the IBM. But you know, obviously, I'm not a member of. I don't know how they operate in the US. I believe from speaking to people, there's like multiple regional meetings over in America, because in the UK, the British Ring, the IBM, the British Ring, we have one convention once a year, which is normally around about the September time. That's where you have all the competitions, all the lectures, absolutely everything. And outside of that, there's other benefits as well, but it's mainly a magazine and various smaller like dinners and so on and so forth. The President's Dinner, I think, is in March. The piece of advice I can give you, though, is go onto the websites of the two organisations, SAM and IBM, and look at what you get for each one. Do you get a magazine? I think you do. I think you get like the linking ring or something with the IBM. But have a look at the both of them and see what you get. Do you get a magazine with both? Are there meetings regionally? And if so, are the meetings near where you live? Is there sort of an annual convention you go to? Is there a way for members to connect with each other online? Because as you say, you know, one of the big reasons to join one of these is exposure and meeting other magicians and networking and so on and so forth. So is there an online platform that they can use to meet up with each other, like a Facebook group or something? Because I don't think there's really anything like that with the IBM over here in the UK. But I might be wrong, but I think that's the sort of thing that you're looking for. So it's like you basically approach this like you would absolutely any decision in life. Have a look at the pros and cons of both of these organizations, include money in that, include absolutely everything, make a list, and then just ultimately look at that list. Whatever's got the most pros, that's what I'd go for. Sorry I can't be more helpful, but I can't really give you an answer when I'm not really a member of either one of them over in the States, but hopefully that'll guide you in the right direction. And if anybody's watching this video that is a member of the IBM and SAM, comment below. Let Tyler know which one he should join. Okay, so the next question is from Carlini Jamilo. And Carmeli says, thanks, Craig, for answering my question last week. No problem, you're more than welcome. Craig, do you know who makes and sells a set of Bitcoins with a shell? I remember you did a good routine with a Bitcoin. Any chance you will go over in Netrix? Also, maybe routines with Omnicoins. Thanks for sharing all the information and time with us. Yeah, I can do stuff with Bitcoins and Omnicoins. I have got a few different Bitcoin routines, but they don't use shells. They use regular coins. But I'm more than happy to share them on the Netrix, no problem. In terms of the Bitcoin and the shell, I think Sans Minds did one back in the day. I'm pretty sure they did. Not all of Sans Mind stuff was terrible. The Vanishing Ring I use in every single cabaret show. It's great. And the lighter thing that lights itself, that's really good as well. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can do a little bit of research here for you. Of course, they still put their stuff out through a thing called Online Magic Store. Let's have a look. Aha, right, Online Magic Store. Boom! There you go. The Bitcoin Sans Minds Magic presents the Bitcoin shell. Bitcoin expanded shell, $40. They've got them in gold or silver. Need a gimmick or pure sleight of hand. Do it yourself or gimmick included. Gimmick included. What you receive: one Bitcoin shell. Bitcoins are great conversation starters and incredible props to demonstrate appearances and disappearances, but sleight of hand can only take you so far. Here is the Bitcoin shell. No instructions included. So they sell a Bitcoin shell on the Online Magic Store. I think Sans Minds name has been changed to the Online Magic Store now. So go to the onlinemagic.store.com and just type in Bitcoin, and they've got a Bitcoin expanded shell. Now the question is, do they sell regular Bitcoins? Let's have a look here. Yes, they do. So they sell regular Bitcoins, and they've also got the bitten coins, because Sans Minds also did a Bitcoin that's like a bite out coin. So this is a Bitcoin. Look, I just bit it. So yeah, they've got on there. Right, okay, so the Bitcoin is made in dollar size, and that's $55. The half dollar size Bitcoin, silver and gold are $10. They've also got, they've got a triple set for $20. So if you want 3 coins, it's $20, and then the shell is $40. Half dollar and dollar size. Now everything's half dollar size. There you go. It's all on the Online Magic Store, who, despite being linked with Sans Minds, their shipping and everything are reputable. It's a reputable store. I've ordered from there, and I got it almost immediately. So yeah, there you go. That's your answer. You want a Bitcoin and you want a Bitcoin shell? Go to the Online Magic Store, type in Bitcoin into the search, and you'll see everything you need there. Outside of that, yeah, you want some stuff on the Bitcoin, on the Netrix, give me a couple of weeks and I'll film some stuff, no problem. Okay, so the next question is from Philip Austin. Philip says, hey Craig, just like to confirm, it's amazing what you're doing for the magic community. Thank you, buddy. A while ago, we came across a DVD called The Journey. I think it's by Matt Johnson. It's a ACAAN effect performed at Blackpool about 10 years ago. Have you any knowledge of this, and what do you think of the effect? The DVD is proposing to give 5 versions of ACAAN. Thanks, keep the magic alive. Plus, I love making Matt the Magic Man is getting better every time. I don't know anything about Journey. I have never heard of Journey ever, or if I have, I don't know it as Journey, which is unusual because I'm obsessed with ACAAN. Journey, Matt Johnson. Doing a bit of research here. Okay, The Journey by Matt Johnson, DVD and gimmicks. It's available on Penguin Magic. It's in stock. Interesting. Penguin's SEO, by the way, must be amazing. They're first for everything. The Journey, DVD and gimmick by Matt Johnson. How did I not know about this? A single deck of cards is sitting on the table. A spectator is asked to name any card, and then they're asked to name a number from 1 to 52. The cards are removed at fingertips from the box and handed to the spectator. One by one, the cards are counted down by the spectator's chosen number. When the card at the chosen number is turned over, it's their freely chosen card. What? 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 That's insane. Okay, I have never heard of this before. However, add to cart. As soon as I finish this, I'm going to buy it, and I'll do a review on it. I will do a retro review. I'm thinking about doing these things called retro reviews, where I review some of the older stuff that comes out, that's been out for a while that you can still get. So I'll do a retro review on it. There you go. It's added to cart. I've got no idea what it is. I love Matt Johnson. The ad copy makes it sound amazing. So I'm all in. I'm going to get it and I will get back to you. Okay, so the next question is Sticky. And Sticky says, what are the best tricks for stage without an assistant? I mean, that's a long topic, man. What's the best tricks for stage without an assistant? Well, my God, I mean, you could go on forever. I mean, well, put it this way. No, I can't. Put it this way. I'm putting together this show for Matt, for the Matchumentary, where he's going to go on stage in front of a couple of hundred people. And the show I've put together for him is Blake Voigt's Vanishing Stool, the Velocity Bullet Catch by Scott Alexander, Blades by Scott Alexander, and the Master Prediction System. And now the Master Prediction System does need a spectator, does need an assistant, although it's a hidden assistant, so that maybe doesn't count, maybe it does. But that's somebody who's got no experience of magic, and I was putting an act together, and that's the act I put together for him. However, those props are quite pricey, to say the least. If you're on a budget, I would say a really good one to go for is go with a lot of Bill Abbott stuff is amazing. A lot of Bill Abbott stuff is amazing. Celebrity Smart Arse is really great, and just really, really, really awesome. Celebrity Smart Arse. No Brainer is also really good. I've closed my show, my cabaret show, with No Brainer in the past. The Suit Jacket Escape is really good. The 5-card box and the 5-card repeat is really good. There's a lot of really good stuff that you can get from Bill's store. Bill is a real worker. Likewise, and for stage, his stuff is very reasonably priced. Chairs is an amazing trick if you're the right performer to pull it off. Yeah, Scott Alexander's stuff is amazing as well, but the problem is it's very highly priced. But if you go on Penguin, you get his Christmas stuff from a few years ago. Nailed It by Scott Alexander is amazing. That's reasonably priced. Superfly by Scott Alexander is great. On the Netrix, if you go onto if you remember the Netrix, I put my egg bag routine on there. The egg bag is something that I do on every show. Ryland does it in every stage show as well. The egg bag is amazing. It can play to hundreds of people. So the egg bag's on there. Also, my cut and restored rope routine is on there. And that is something that I've done to hundreds of people as well. So a good rope routine, for sure. The one off the Netrix is the one I use. A good egg bag routine, the one on the Netrix is the one that I use. Linking rings is fantastic. I use Pop Hayden's linking rings routine, or you can see another linking rings routine, again on the Netrix. Rubik's stuff, if you do Rubik's manipulation, you know, Ryland's basically made a little career of himself now just doing Rubik's stuff. You know, he does Venom Cube, he does Cube and Bottle, he does The Solution by Michael Murray, he does Rubik's Wall. All of this stuff works on stage absolutely brilliantly. So that's a few examples of things that will work really well on stage. But I mean, you need to find your own, you need to find what you're interested in. Yeah, you need to make the tricks the sort of tricks that you would do. So when I perform magic on stage, it's very comedy based because that's the sort of performer that I am. I'm not going to do serious mentalism. When Ryland does stuff, a lot of the tricks that he does are involving toys and Lego and cubes for obvious reasons. So figure out the type of performer you are and go in that direction. Okay, so the next question is from Justin Hutchins, and Justin says, "Hi Craig, I love all your videos, especially your latest rant. It really made my day. Thanks very much. Question, what's the best 3 tricks I could learn if I can steal a spectator's card without them knowing when I put it back in the deck? I can control it to the bottom of the deck. Is it just a Mercury card fold I can do, or something easier without folding the card? I can palm it away and then give the deck back for them to shuffle. So what can I do with this skill?" So you're saying you can palm a card and you can take a card out of a deck, so what can you do with it? Well, really, what you have there is you have the ability to make a card vanish from the deck. So if you can make the card vanish from the deck, you can make it appear anywhere, right? All you have to do is look at a bit of framing. So, for example, look into options on magic shops like Penguin Magic and Vanishing Ink, where there's like a card to impossible location thing going on. Because depending on the environment you're performing in, if you can palm a card off, you could have a load in a bag on the table. So, for example, I've seen people do card in baked beans tin, for example, and have a card vanish. They give it them to shuffle, and then they bring out this tin of baked beans, give it to somebody, and the card ultimately ends up in there. You could have anywhere, like card to box, card to pocket. All of this stuff is absolutely possible. What you need to do, though, is structure it. You don't want to go, hey, shuffle those cards. Look, your card's in my pocket. It needs to be structured correctly. You need to actually think about it and have time misdirection. So you need to put a period of time between when you steal the card and when you reproduce the card. It's the difference between the actual moment of magic and the perceived moment of magic. The actual moment of magic from your point of view is when you take the card out the deck. The perceived moment of magic is when the ultimate finale or the revelation occurs to the spectator, and you do want a bit of a distance between the actual moment of magic and the perceived moment of magic. One of my favorite things to do with cards, when cards, I put this on Locked in a Room Without Coins, which was a DVD I bought out about 16 years ago. It's never gone on the Netrix, but maybe it should do. You let me know. I called it Superman. And the whole idea is 3 people picked cards. And then what would happen is I'd have one person hold their hand out and I'd get them to hold onto the deck. And I'd say, it's done. And they'd go, what do you mean it's done? And I'd say, well, all 3 cards have vanished. The first card is in your top pocket, and they look at the top pocket, and the first card's in the top pocket. The second card's under your watch, and the second card's folded up underneath their watch. And the final card, you're not going to believe this, it's in your shoe. And they take their shoe off, and when they tip out what's inside their shoe, there's a folded up card, and that folded up card is the third person's card, and all of the cards are signed. There's no duplicates. And I developed a system for taking the cards out of the deck without people noticing in various different ways and body loading it onto one spectator. And that's one of my favorite things to do even today. It's a really cool routine. So if you have the ability to take a card out the deck, maybe look into Superman. Like I said, it's on a DVD called Locked in a Room Without Coins. Although if you're a Netrix subscriber and you're interested, I could put it on the Netrix. At the time when that came out and I was lecturing, which was about 15 years ago, I was lecturing quite a lot, and I'd only just bought that DVD out. And I remember going to lectures and having people say to me, we want to see Superman. We want to see Superman, because everybody wanted to see it live, because they were like, hang on a minute, 3 cards? and I do it live for magicians, and they'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. So yeah, Superman, look into that. I can put it on the Netrix if you want to. But outside of that, anything really where you're taking a card out secretly, and think about an impossible location is the best piece of advice I could give you. Think about the most impossible place that you could put a card and shove it there. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, what are your thoughts on the Siamese Waltz? I love it, true story. I love it. I think I want to pay Penguin to make a ton of them for me. I hadn't even heard of it, and when I went to Penguin, the first time I went to Penguin, which was around about March last year, I was sitting in an American diner late at night. We'd just done a ton of filming, and Sean and the guy said, let's go get food. And I was like, okay. So we went to this like diner place, and Nick Poper showed me Siamese Waltz. He had one in his pocket, and I was blown away. I was like, dude, how does that work? And he told me about how it works. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to make that. And he was no, like on the project, it's really easy to make. It's really easy to make. You can do. And I'm no Lloyd Barnes. I'm no Steve-O Watson. I'm not just going to be sitting there for hours gaffing cards. That's not my thing. That's not what I do. But I'd be more than happy to pay somebody to make these things for me. I know when you get Siamese Waltz, it comes with 5. So maybe I just need to get like 20 Siamese Waltzes, and that might work. But I think it's a truly amazing trick. Truly amazing. Really, really good. An impossible object to give away to the spectator as well. Really impossible object. So yeah, it's a great trick. I mean, if you haven't got it, I'd really look into it. They give you a few gimmicks to start, and then they teach you how to make your own. And apparently it's really simple. But you know, I can't even split cards. When I need a card split, I have to get Ryland to do it. So I'm terrible at gimmick making, but you know, if you're half decent, then you can sit there for a few hours, make some of them up, and then you've got a trick that's just it's really good. Okay, so the next question is from Richard Aldred, and Richard says, "Hi Craig, a question. I'd be interested in your thoughts on routining with the John Kennedy Mind Power deck. I've been looking for a good follow-on phase after the main reveal of the card they were thinking of. Darren Brown's Smoke is, of course, a brilliant presentation, but can you recommend any alternative multiple out setups or products that can be used, either as a prediction for the reappearance of the card after it's shown missing from the deck? Thanks." Okay, so for those of you that don't know what a John Kennedy Mind Power deck is, basically it's a deck of cards and you can show them and they're all different. And then you spread the deck out on the table or in between your hands and you get somebody to merely think of a card. And then what you can do is you can tell them the name of their card relatively easily. It's a very, very, very genius deck, and John Kennedy is one of John Kennedy's best tricks. Now, Darren Brown used it in a routine called Smoke, which he actually did on TV to Stephen Fry, I think. And the whole idea is it's this pseudo thing where Stephen Fry thinks of a card, Darren Brown gets it right, and he's smoking a cigarette the entire time, and when he looks back, the cigarette is now a rolled up card, and it's a card that they're thinking of. Other versions of that. Go back and look at, what's that DVD set? Matthew Wright put a DVD set out years ago. I can't remember if it was RSVP or, I don't know. Matthew, Unexpected Visitor, was it? The Unexpected Visitor? Unexpected? Let's have a look. No, that's not it. Let's go on to Alakazam. It might be an Alakazam trick. Bear with me, because this is important. Please bear with me. Let's go on to Alakazam and let's search Matthew Wright. It wasn't bought out through his company, Marvelous Effects. It's a very old DVD. Matthew Wright, there we go. What we got? Unusual Suspect, that's it. Oh, Alakazam, we've got it as a download. Good stuff. It is an Alakazam trick. It is an Alakazam DVD. Unusual Suspect by Matthew Wright. Download or DVD. Boom. Okay, so they've got the download. First of all, it's an amazing project, but one of the tricks on there is called Mint. And this is, if you've not heard of this, I'm giving you the biggest tip in the world here. This is amazing. Let me read Mint out to you. Matthew has taken a classic effect by Darren Brown, and he's talking about Smoke, and given it his own unique twist and presentational angle that makes this a real worker. A thought-of card vanishes from the deck, only to reappear in a mint packet that's been in full view the whole time. This is killer. He uses a Listerine packet. You know those Listerine packets where it's not gum, but you've got a sheet that you put on your tongue and it makes your breath smell minty. He's using those, and he realized that a folded card fits perfectly into one of those. Now, he's developed a whole system of how you can replicate Smoke, but using mints instead of using cigarettes. And I did this for years. I haven't done it for a while. I probably stopped doing it about 5 years ago. But now talking about it, I'm thinking, why the hell did I ever stop doing it? You idiot, Craig, you need to do it again. Because it got so many killer, insane reactions. And there were so many different ways to set it up. You could set it up at a table. You could set it up in your pocket. There's just loads of different ways to do it. It's really good. It's really, really good. So if you're looking for something to do with the Mind Power deck that's a little bit like Smoke, I'd look into Mint. And as I say, it's available as an instant download from Alakazam because it was an Alakazam product. So they've obviously made it available as a download. So no shipping, you'll just be able to get it instantly. The other thing that I would say is look into the 52-1 deck by Wayne Fox and David Penn. It's not exactly the same thing. It's not the same thing really at all as as Smoke as the Mind Power deck, but there are similarities between 52 and 1 and the Mind Power deck. And the way that David and Wayne handle that final revelation of the spectator cutting the deck will give you some ideas of how you can actually proceed with your Mind Power deck. So that's something that you'd look into as well. Outside of that, anything else, leave it with me. Let me have a think, because there's probably going to be a few other ways that you can do it. But while I'm thinking, I'll come back to you on this in the next week or two. But while I'm thinking, seriously go and pick up mints, because I think that's exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so the next question is from Thomas Shelvin. And Thomas says, I was wondering if you could show an easy way to palm a card that doesn't require a lot of dexterity and an easy trick to go with said move. Okay, so palming a card. I have a deck of cards here. There's lots and lots of different ways to palm a card. The best way to palm a card is to palm it when the spectator's not looking at the palm. So first of all, from a technical point of view, when you're palming a card, you hold the deck in mechanics grip, and you're literally just... I do it as if I'm like squaring up the deck. And as I square up the deck, I take the card into palm, right? That's what I do. So what you don't want to do is bring your hand over the deck for no reason and then take your hand away, because it looks obvious. So what I do, as I say, is I come over the deck and I've now palmed that card. But as soon as I've palmed it, I move my hand over to the side. So my reason for bringing my hand over is to grab the deck with the other hand. And then this left hand squares up the deck. So it looks like like I'm just squaring up the deck. That's how I palm a card, right? Now, to make it easy for you, ultimately, you want to be able to do that without actually getting a break. But to make it easy for you, get a break, first of all, underneath that top card, because that's going to make pushing it into the hand a lot easier than not having that break, okay? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to practice the technical side of things. So you want to practice just coming over and making this look natural. Also, you want to practice not looking at the deck. So you're looking at the audience, you're talking, because part of misdirection is not focusing any attention on the dirty move that's taking place. Now, in this case, the dirty move is you're palming a card. And the way to get away from that is by talking to the audience, looking at the audience, speaking to the audience about something, and in that action, you've palmed the card and you're not even looking at the deck. So practice taking the card and pushing it into your palm. Just practice that over and over again without looking at the deck. Now, when you've done that, you can then talk about how to make it more deceptive. And one way to make it more deceptive, as I say, is to palm the card when people aren't focusing what you're doing. To make that even more pronounced, you could do something like this. So, for example, you could dribble the cards into your hand and have somebody say stop. Wherever they say stop, you hand them the cards, the cards that are left in your hand. So you hand them that, and then you just you do a double turnover, and you say, let's have a look at the card you stopped at, the Jack of Clubs. So you're doing a double turnover here. Now you get them to sign the card. So they sign the card, and you can do this sort of thing and grab the double and show the signature. Now you have them spread these cards out in their hand, and you take this Jack, do another double turnover, and you push the Jack into the middle of this half of the deck. So you say, look, I'm going to put this in your half of the deck. And then you say, can you square up the cards and shuffle them? So everyone's attention is over there because they believe that's where the card is. And while everyone's attention's over there, with this half, you square it up and you palm the Jack. And as a side note, you can say, oh, by the way, can you shuffle these? And nobody's looked at you palming the card, and now you focus attention back on your hands when the card has been palmed by saying, oh, by the way, can you shuffle those? So now the whole thing is completely invisible, and that's the way to deal with any sleight. What's the best way to do a sleight? Yes, you can master it and make it look perfect, but the best way to deal with it is to do the sleight when no one's looking at your hands. Basic time misdirection and verbal misdirection and so on and so forth. So now you know how to palm a card and how to make it look deceptive. What you're going to do with it? Well, I mean, I think one of the best uses of a palmed card, especially when you're focusing attention somewhere else, is to do like a really simple version of card on forehead, or card on card in mouth, or card in glass. So while they're shuffling the cards and everyone's attention's over there, you can kind of come round to the side of them and watching them shuffle, and you can just take this card and load it into the mouth. Okay, so when they look back, the card's in the mouth, and then you could do the classic card in mouth as a follow-up phase. Or you could take the card, and if you wear glasses, you can just load it behind your glasses like this, and you'll focus your attention here. And if you do this right, you can literally have them shuffling the cards, and they're not going to even see this until way later, so it's a surprise when they see it. Look up Michael Finney. Card on forehead. Go and look at it on YouTube, because he does card on forehead on stage, and it's a masterclass of how to actually perform a routine like this. And then the other thing that you can do is you can load it underneath an object. So you know, if you've got a salt sheller on the table, for example, or a glass, you can take the card and you can load it underneath the glass. And a couple of different references to look at that. The first is Doc Eason. Go look at his card in the glass masterclass, because my God, it is a masterclass. And secondly, go and have a look at the card, the forehead, and the salt shaker by Michael Close. Now, that originally appeared in Workers number 5, but you can get Workers number 5 as an ebook directly from Michael Close's website. He has a routine, and the first time I saw it, I'd never felt more fooled in my life. It's called the card, the forehead, and the salt shaker. And the card is going under the salt shaker, then it's going to the forehead, then the deck's going underneath the salt shaker. It's just amazing. It's a masterclass of misdirection. And that, for me, is the best use of using a palmed card, having it appear somewhere that they can't imagine for a second it would appear there. So hopefully that answers your questions about how to palm a card and where to put it. Okay, so the next question is from Steve Black, and Steve says, "Hi Craig." Hi Steve. What do you think the future in 2023 is for mentalism? With the loss of Max and the controversy concerning the peak, could the art be in the need of a refresh? Thanks. I think there's a lot of really clever people in mentalism. I think you've got Pete Turner, you've got Michael Murray, you've got some incredible mentalists that are leading the charge. And I think mentalism is in a very good place. You know, you've got different conventions dedicated to mentalism. Michael Murray does his mentalism thing, and Luca Volpe does his mentalism thing as well. I think that mentalism is in a really good, safe space. And I think that you know, I think, yes, it's tragic, it's terrible that Max has passed away. But, you know, unfortunately, this happens. You know, people, greats in our industry pass away. I remember when Eugene Berger passed away and everyone was like, oh my God, magic's never going to be the same again. It is. Magic evolves. It moves forward. It's very sad when people pass away, but it can move on. And as for the peak controversy, yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. And, you know, I think people remember the peak for a long time to come, but it's not going to affect anything. I think that I've seen some of the mentalism that's coming out in the next 6 months. And God darn, it's good. It's really good. So no, I don't think it's an issue at all. I do think we're going to see the next big thing in mentalism, maybe not this year, but next year. And what I mean by that is I think Derren Brown was a big thing for mentalism. It showed people a different way that you could do mentalism that was different to what everybody else had done traditionally up until that point. And I don't think we've had that leap forward again since Derren Brown. I know that some people, like Chris Cox, has got his own style, and that's all well and good, but I don't think there's been a genre-defining moment. And I think in the next couple of years, mentalism is going to have a genre-defining moment where the entire genre moves in a different direction because of somebody. I can see that happening soon. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter. Hey Adrian, how you doing? And Adrian says, "Hi Craig, in one of your recent videos you mentioned that you don't wear any jewellery because coin magic doesn't work well when wearing a ring." Very true. I always wear my wedding ring on my left hand according to Swiss tradition. Yeah, same here. How could I deal with this, particularly as a hobbyist in an impromptu situation? Any good justification why I take my ring off? Yeah, I mean, I didn't always not wear a wedding ring. For a while I wore a wedding ring and I kind of worked around it, but as I became more of a coin guy, I just stopped wearing the wedding ring as much. My justification of why I used to is incorporating it into the trick. So what I would do is I would take the ring off and I'd say, hey, let me show you something with a ring. I'm going to show you something with my ring. And then I would either do 1 or 2 tricks with the ring, and I'll go through what in a minute, or I would just make the ring disappear. And I'd say, thanks very much. I'd tell you what, let's do something with some coins. And I would then do some coin tricks, whatever coin tricks I want. I've just dumped the ring in my pocket. I do whatever coin tricks I want. And then at the end, as a finale, I take one of the rings and I do like a karate coin style move where I take the coin, take the finger, but the finger the ring's meant to go onto, and I go boom. And as I do that, the coin turns back into the ring and it's back on the finger. And it's kind of formed a full circle thing. He made the ring disappear at the beginning. Then he did a bunch of stuff with coins, and then the coin turned back into the ring. So it's got a really nice kind of full circle feel to it. That's what I would do, because that's a motivated reason to take the ring off, because you're using it in a trick. And if you are going to use the ring and take it off, a couple of things that you can do with it is some sort of ring and string routine would work really well. Look at some of the moves that I included in the Keymaster project. That will give you some ideas. Also, go and look at, I never published it. I have a version of the Vernon ring and wand routine where a ring goes onto the wand over and over again and you have to use your own ring. I've never published that, but I could put it on the Netrix if you want. Let me know. That's one of my favorite routines to do with a ring. It's just a ring and a wand and mad stuff is happening. It's really good. Or the other thing is Daniel Garcia brought out a trick on one of his DVDs, the first three, not the second three. On one of his first three DVDs, he had a coins across where he had a ring. It was actually a spectator's ring, but you can use your own ring. And he put the coins, he got them to cup their hands together and he put the ring in their hands. Then he did a coins across and the ring was there, and the purpose of the ring was for them to hear the moment that the coins landed, because they'd hear a clink of the coins landing in the hand and clink against the ring. And then for the final phase, the ring would vanish from their hands and appear back in his finger. That's a really great trick to do, to use your ring with. So look up that. That's by Daniel Garcia on his first three DVDs from his project. Go and check that out, because that ring routine is a great routine to do because it combines rings and coins. And I used to do that a lot. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that'll give you an idea. But yeah, I think the best justification is taking the ring off, doing a trick with it, making it disappear, and then bringing it back at the end. Okay, so the next question is from the Creepypasta man, Creepypasta poet, and he says, Craig, loving the channel, man. You come at magic from all angles. Thank you. Is there a way to fix a warped deck? Also, have you, or would you consider reviewing the Trojan Deck by Joshua J? Thanks. Right, so two parts to that. Yes, I have reviewed the Trojan Deck. It was recorded on the Craig and Ryan Review Show. If you just go and search Trojan Deck, Craig and Ryan Review Show, Magic TV, it'll come up. But yeah, I have reviewed it. It's good. It's good. Ultimately, it's a good trick, but it's not for everybody. There's limitations. It's not something that you would want to do, walk around, or yeah, go look at the review. And is there any way to fix a warped deck? I don't really get my decks warping. I don't give them enough chance. I'm throwing them in the bin. Like, you know, I go and do a gig, they get ripped up, torn, and then they go in the bin. However, I did hear somebody say once, wrap it up in elastic bands, like tons of really tight elastic bands, and then shove it in a fridge. I don't know if that's right or not. I do remember reading that advice on the internet once, so take that for what it's worth. But that's the only thing I've ever heard about fixing a warp deck. Thanks for the comments. Hope that helps. Okay, next question is from Jonah Berg again. And Jonah says, who will be the top 3 creators in Magic this coming year? I have no idea. I did a people to watch list, and I had people like Chris James and Ananda Depot on there, and a whole bunch of people. Any of those could have a really good year. Let me think. Roman Armstrong is somebody else who I think could have a really good year. Safe bets when it comes to this sort of thing is Pete Turner. I think that he is going to be creatively smashing it now. He's no longer associated with E. Talking about E, you could maybe say Justin Miller. Justin's just come back to Illusionist. He's already creative anyway. I mean, the guy is a freaking powerhouse. And now he's on a mission to make E great again. So yeah, if anyone can do it, Justin can. And he's a legend. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of Justin. So yeah, I mean, he could definitely be one of the top 3 creators without a doubt, especially having Illusionist as a platform for him to play with. Christian Grace is a safe bet. You know, Ollie Mealing, both of those guys doing their membership. They've got some incredible stuff that comes out regularly. Same with Lloyd Barnes with his Patreon. Joel Dickinson has got some great stuff and seems to be smashing it out of the park right now. And his membership by all accounts is really, really good. Any of those people could do it. David Jonathan is great. You never want to discount Kyle Purnell. Kyle Purnell is amazing and just a real solid bet for anything like this. Nicholas Mavresis is another great name that you could throw into the mix there. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good. And then you've got people like Mario Lopez and Jackie Yu that are releasing more magic these days. Any one of them could be Creator of the Year. You don't know. You never know what's coming up. You never know what is going to be happening, but I think any of those names can do it. Okay, so the next question is from Taj3D, and Taj3D says, Craig, what's your opinion of Misled and its variants? I think Misled is amazing, and I think there's lots of variations, and some of them are better than Misled, some of them are not as good, but Misled itself is brilliant, and I did it for years and years and years. The problem is over here in the UK, it's harder to do it with polymer notes. However, and here's a little scoop for you, when you go to the Blackpool Magic Convention, make a beeline for the JB Magic stand and go and speak to Mark Mason. Tell him that Craig Petty sent you and ask him to show you Alan Rorison's new trick that he's debuting at Blackpool this year. It's Alan's version of Misled with a Sharpie marker, and it is incredible. There's just no move. You put the pen, you put the Sharpie inside the bill. There is no ambiguity. It's absolutely inside there, and then it happens. Everything's examinable. The pen's examinable, the bill's examinable, and if you're using a polymer note like we've got here in the UK, they can even look through the see-through bit of the polymer note and see the pen in there. When Mark showed it me, I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. It's coming out of Blackpool. It's debuting at Blackpool, limited stock. So go check that out because it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. Okay, so the next question is from Ryan Maybe, and Ryan says, Craig, I can't express enough how grateful I am for answering my questions. I'm proud to be part of the Netrix Silver community. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. I have a couple more that I think I might like to ask you. So question number one, is the Svengali Project still coming out through 1914? I always look forward to your projects. I've been watching some of your older videos that mention it, and it sounds really cool. Yes, I was speaking to Dee about it just last week. Where, from my point of view, the routines and everything are in place. They're written, they're done. I have done my bit. I know that 1914 have been really busy. The plan was to do a project a year. So year one, we would be doing Visible. Year two, we'd be doing the Svengali Project. And year three, we'd be doing the Stripper Deck. We didn't manage to get the Svengali Project out last year. I was busy doing a whole bunch of stuff. They were busy. And we put Forecast out instead, which I think was amazing. However, the Svengali Project, we're definitely doing it. I am filming with the 1914 next week, but that's for something else. However, I did say, let's nail a date to get the Svengali Project done. So that's definitely going to happen. Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. So you never know in this industry, but I'd be surprised if it didn't come out this year. Okay, so another question from Ryan Maybe, and the other question is, in the Mirage tutorial, it looks like you're working with a Gaffe that's a walking Liberty coin. Is that specially made or available anywhere? I find those coins so pretty. Yes, ACAAN made it for me. I said to them, I only work with Walking Liberties. Please, can you make me a Walking Liberty Mirage set? And they did. And they can make them because the coins are handmade by Roy. I don't know what the price will be. You can't get it on the website, but I know they could definitely, because Nemid Phoenix wanted a Walking Liberty set as well, and they were able to organise that. So if you do want a Walking Liberty set, my advice would be to contact ACAAN and ask them how much it would be to do a one-off Mirage set, because you've already got the Mirage set. You don't need the tutorial, so it'll be just the coins. So I don't know the answer. I know that they can be made, but I don't know the answer. But go and speak to Pete at ACAAN, and he should be able to help you with that. Okay, so the next question is from Ned Norden, and Ned says, do you still plan on putting your N2G, N9 routine up on the Netrix? It's a great little routine and a nice use of those gaffs. I'd really like to learn it. Keep up the good work. Yes, my friend, 100%. We're actually filming that this week. We're going to put it up as a bonus routine. So it's not going to go up on the upload on Monday, but it's going to go up throughout next week. We're putting a load of bonus content up for next week, and that's going to be one of them. So yes, that will be going up, so look out for it. Jack will put a post in the community when it goes up with a link through to where you can learn it. Okay, so another question from Ned Norden, and Ned says, hey Craig, love the channel. Thanks very much. Thanks for putting so much great content. You're welcome. I've been a subscriber to the Netrix from day one. It's brilliant. Man, thank you. I have a question for you. About 8 or 9 months ago, I think you discussed a coin trick where you combined half of a split coin with a traditional magnetic coin. I remember really liking the routine, but I can't remember all the details of it. Can you briefly describe the effect again and where I could learn it? I think you're talking about Split Focus by Gregory Wilson. So Split Focus by Gregory Wilson is a split coin, but it also has another half of a split coin that goes on top. So in essence, you can split this coin into 3. Very, very clever gaff. Very clever gaff. So I think you're talking about that. I think you're talking about Split Focus. I've got a bunch of routines with Split Focus. I'm currently putting together a hows and whys of the split coin video. As you probably know, as a Netrix subscriber, I've put a couple of split coin routines in the Netrix over the last couple of months, but I'm planning on doing a big upload soon of a ton of other routines with the split coin. And I've got a project coming out that's split coin related towards the end of 2023. But in terms of what you're talking about, I think go look at Split Focus by Greg Wilson. It came out directly through Murphy's Magic. I think that's what you want to be looking at. Okay, so the next question is from Jonah Berg, and Jonah says, top 3 torn and restored card tricks. I would say the Reformation by Guy Hollingsworth, or if they want an easier version of that, both Cameron Francis has an easier version of torn and restored card, and also Daniel Garcia has an easier version of the Reformation, but any sort of variation of the Reformation is good. I would say the original torn and restored card by J.C. Wagner, where you don't restore the final piece, that's really good. The Torched and Restored by Brent Braun is brilliant, I'd say that. And Beyond Reform by Elliot Gerard and Matthew Wright recently come out. We reviewed it. That's brilliant as well. So I'd say there, I've given you 4 there. There you go. Four really great torn and restored card routines. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian Suter says, which magic convention would you recommend for a hobbyist who has never been to a convention before? It depends if you're it depends where you are in the world. I mean, Blackpool Magic Convention is the biggest and best magic convention in the world as far as I'm concerned, but it's also very overwhelming. Like, it is really overwhelming. Like, when you first get there and you see everything, it's like, oh my gosh, like, this is just a little bit too much. I'd consider starting at a smaller magic convention. Session is a great example. Leeds Magic Jam is a great example. Over in the States, I've not been there, but Magifest, I imagine, would fit that bill. Some of the smaller conventions that only have like 400 or 500 people, as opposed to 3,000 or 4,000 people, they're the ones that you really would probably want to go to first. Dip your toe in before you go all the way to the Magic Lives and the Blackpools and the Genie Magic conventions. Okay, so the Magic and Mentalism Library says, hey Craig, do you know any good Q&A routines? For those people that have no reference here, the Q&A routine is something that's very popular with mentalists, where lots of people will ask questions and put them into a pot or something like that, and you'll take them out and you'll be able to know who the person is that's asked the question. There's a lot to it. I've never done a Q&A. I can't think of a trick that's less like my style than a Q&A. It just really doesn't fit me at all. And if there's one thing I've talked on this channel over and over again, it's about finding your character, understanding the tricks that work for you and the stuff that doesn't work for you. A Q&A routine just wouldn't work for me at all. However, I've seen them done brilliantly. I know how they work. It's just something I would never do. The best Q&A routine I've ever seen has not been released yet, but it will be released soon, and it's by Luch. When I interviewed Luch recently, he showed me a Q&A routine that he's got coming out soon, and as far as I'm concerned, this is a game changer when it comes to Q&A routines. So if you don't know Luch's material, go check out the interview I did with him. He's brilliant. If you're a mentalist, you should know Luch, and then go onto his website, go sign up to his website and his mailing list, and you'll be the first person to know when he has this Q&A come out. Okay, so the next question is from reading Snowstorm here. The next question is from Junior Rodriguez, and Junior says, Snowstorm, do you warn your clients beforehand, or do you just perform it and hope for the best? Have you ever performed it outside? I'd be embarrassed if I got a littering ticket afterwards. I've never performed Snowstorm outside. I wouldn't. I'd not perform it in anywhere else other than like an appropriate venue. A stage is fine. I think a kid's party is fine because there's normally mess everywhere that they need to clear up at the end. But for sure, I think you need to like confirm that sort of stuff with the client. A lot of the time, I don't do Snowstorm anymore. Ryland does it an awful lot. And Ryland works mainly on stages, so it's not a problem. I remember the first time he went and performed it at the House of Secrets, and he never told the House of Secrets or me that he was doing it. At the end of the night, they were watching him do this Snowstorm, and it was like, okay, well, this is going to take a while to clean up. So yeah, you know, I would kind of maybe check with the client, unless you're on a stage or something like that, in which case I don't think it's a problem because they're expecting that sort of thing. Okay, so the next question is again from Junior Rodriguez, and he says, summer is coming up. Have you done a magic camp for kids? I love the idea. I just don't know where to start. Magic camp for kids. Well, I used to be a camp counselor many, many years ago. I've told this story on the channel before. I used to be a camp counselor at Storuca Performing Arts and Sports Centre, the Camp Island Lake Performing Arts and Sports Centre in Storuca in Pennsylvania, which is in the Poconos Mountains. Fantastic experience. Loved every second of it. Absolutely brilliant. So glad I did it. And I wouldn't be the person I am now if it wasn't for doing it. You don't know where to start in terms of doing a magic camp for kids. Over here in the UK, we have something called Camp America. And what Camp America is it's a place, and that's what I did my camp through, Camp America. It's a place, I'm sure it's still on. I mean, yeah. Okay, it's Camp America. We've got something like this in the UK. Applications are open. Change your life. Make your most of summer 2023. The idea is that you can go to Camp America and you can basically spend the entire summer in America working at a summer camp and getting paid to work in a summer camp. And you can go to this place and there's loads of camps there represented there, and you can find one, you know, that's interested in you and you're interested in them. It's great, you know, it's absolutely amazing. And you have to pay to go there. So I'm looking at their website now. £449. Includes application and placement services, visa sponsorship, group international accident and sickness coverage. Yeah, so there you go. Camp America is the place to go if you're in the UK. If you're not in the UK, there's probably going to be some sort of similar thing in your country. And if you're in America and you want to work in a summer camp, I just ring them up. I just find one and ring them up and, you know, just put some work in. And if you're not talking about, excuse me, if you're not talking about working in a summer camp the whole year, and instead you're talking about going in and performing, and you're talking about booking shows in camps over the summer, that's a totally separate thing. Let me know in the comments and I'll go through how to do that. I'm assuming that you're talking about working in a summer camp, but if you can clarify, if you want advice on the other thing, let me know. And next question is from Junior Rodriguez again, and Junior says, love the interviews on your channel. Can we get a sneak peek on who you're planning to interview? Is it possible for you to interview Daniel Garcia or Wayne Houchin? I'd love to interview Daniel Garcia and Wayne Houchin. No one seems to know where Wayne Houchin is. He's vanished off the face of the planet. Daniel Garcia, I'm working on. Interviews that are coming up, Elliot Bibby, Nicola ACAAN. I've got some really big mentalists that I'm not allowed to talk about right now. I'm also speaking to people, really big names in the US actually. So I've got a bunch of people coming up. If you haven't already watched Michael Murray's interview that went up yesterday, I've been trying to get Michael Murray on the channel for a couple of years. Michael's great. Go check out Michael Murray because he's awesome. Okay, so the next question is by Daniel Carter. And Daniel says, hey, Craig, you might not want to be able to answer this, or you might not want to answer this, but I was wondering how many units a well-selling trick sells. In other words, how big is the magic trick industry? Well, I mean, tricks come out all of the time, right? And I'm not... In the old, basically the general rule of thumb is if your trick sells 1,000 units, it's considered successful-ish. If it sold 1,000 units, it's considered fairly successful. Generally, as a rule, Murphy's, if you're wholesaling it to Murphy's, they don't, and this isn't if you're working directly to Murphy's, but if you're wholesaling to Murphy's, they won't buy in that many of them. They won't buy, they'll buy 300, 400, 500, depending on who you are. If you're a big name, they might buy more of them. But yeah, about, I'd say 1,000 is considered fairly successful. But I mean, some tricks can do way more than that. I think we're currently on maybe 8,000 or 9,000 quantum decks, and that came out less than a year ago. I think we're on a ridiculous amount of quantum decks. Same with Chop, same with Keymaster. I don't really know. I mean, those tricks that come out and people are buzzing about it, like the Lux and so on and so forth of the world. There's certain tricks like that when there's a buzz and there's a hype around them, they'll sell a lot more. But your average trick that comes out, if it hits 1,000 units, then it's considered relatively successful. A lot of magic producers or magic production companies will do an initial run of 1,000 and then reorder more if they need to. So they're kind of aiming towards 1,000 units. And obviously it very much depends as well on how accessible the trick is and the price of the trick and where you can perform the trick. So something like Lego frame that came out, for example, that's going to sell less than a trick that comes out that's designed for a close-up magician, like a quantum deck, for argument's sake, because Lego frame is a more expensive item. It's a few $100s. It's a big prop. It's really designed for stage, so it takes it away from a lot of the people who would buy magic. If you don't perform on stage, you're not even going to consider it, right? So there's that aspect to consider, and then the other aspect is if it works throughout the world, if it works everywhere. So, for example, if a trick comes out and it's to do with writing and it's in English, well, if you're not in an English-speaking country, you're probably not going to be able to make use of that prop. So there's lots of other factors that take things into consideration, but that's what I would ultimately say. If you've got 1,000 sold, that's considered fairly successful. Next question again is from Seth Howard, and Seth says, do you consider a double backer to be more versatile than a double facer? I think they're both amazing in their own right. I've filmed some stuff for RSVP on double backers and double facers, some really, truly innovative ways of actually doing routines with double backers and double facers. There's a routine using double facers, which is just killer. It's a version of McDonald's Aces, but it's all done in the spectator's hands and they do everything. It's really good. So there's a bunch of stuff that's coming out with RSVP. I don't know if it's part of their online streaming service or if it's coming out as a separate project. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure I'll find out when it happens from Russ Stevens. But yeah, I think that both the double facer and the double backer are really good props. It really is down to the routine that you're doing with it. And if the routine's good, then it's a great gimmick. Okay, so the next question is from Ulrich Exeth. And Ulrich says, Blackpool question, does the Ruskin work for all ages? It sounds like there's a lot of drinking. There is a lot of drinking. There's a lot of magicians. There's a lot of drinking. But there are a lot of kids in there as well. Ryland goes in there. And all the other kids of magic go in there as well. It's kind of the informal meeting place. And although there is a lot of drinking, everybody's really nice. And, it's not... it's not like it's like X-rated or anything. It's kid-friendly. It's kid-friendly. For the most part. And we didn't used to take Ryland in there, and then Ryland pointed out that there's a lot of other kids that go in there, and if they can go in, why can't he? And so we took him in there, and I mean, it's kid-friendly, absolutely kid-friendly. It's part of the Blackpool experience. Going to the Ruskin and doing all of that stuff, it's part of the Blackpool experience. And Ryland got very excited in December last year. Ryland was booked to do the Christmas entertainment at the Blackpool Magicians Club, so he was the cabaret act that was on, and they put him up in the Ruskin, He was like, oh my gosh, this is really exciting. I'm going to stay in the Ruskin. And when he got there, he was like, it's dead. There's no one here. I'm like, dude, what did you expect? There's going to be hundreds of magicians here. You think it's just like a magic bar 24/7? So that was quite funny. But yeah, it's kid friendly. Next question is from Axe Hachini, and he says, hi Craig, you're going to include a Rubik's Cube routine on the Netrix anytime soon? Yes. The reason I've been holding off is because I can't just put a Rubik's Cube routine on there. I'm going to have to go full on. I'm going to have to do a video on how to solve the cube. I'm going to have to do a video on how to do various different sleights with cubes. Then I'm going to have to put a bunch of routines together. It's going to take a long time. We've already started filming a lot of this stuff. We're about halfway through filming all of this stuff. We just need to film the rest of it. We're hoping that by Blackpool, so in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to have everything that we need, and we can do a massive dump and a massive upload of all of this Rubik's Cube material. I am aware that the Netrix is missing Rubik's Cube material, and that is in the process of being fixed. But I didn't want to just film a very quick, hey, this is what you do with Rubik's Cubes. I wanted a Rubik's Cube sleight section where we go through sleights. I wanted a Rubik's Cube section where you learn to solve the cube. I want everything. So we're going to do it right, and it's going to happen soon. And I think it'll be a really good reference point for people wanting to do cube magic. Next question is from Divi Rao, and Divi says, do you do a muscle pass? Do you do a Sybil cut? Sybil cut, no. I don't really do many card flourishes at all, just because it's never appealed to me. It's not something that I ever wanted to do, so I didn't bother learning a Sybil cut. I did, however, want to do something that established credibility early on. So I spent the time learning how to do a one-handed shuffle, because I thought if I can learn how to do a one-handed shuffle, that's probably impressive enough for me to demonstrate skill without having to learn loads of flourishes. That's just personal taste. I like flourishes. I like seeing people flourish. It's amazing. It's like a combination between magic and juggling. It's just not something that I ever really wanted to get into. So I learned a really fancy shuffle, and I learned how to do a butterfly cut, you know, one of the butterfly cuts, which are actually quite hard to do sitting down. But that's all I learned, and I never learned a Sybil cut. I do that thing as well. There you go. I can't do it sitting down. But no, I don't do any fancy cuts. That's just not something that I do. In terms of the muscle pass, yes, I do. I use the muscle pass a lot. There's a couple of different routines that I've put up on the Netrix that use the muscle pass. I'm a big fan of the muscle pass. I think it looks great. Just doing it as a coin falling down, coin falling up thing is awesome, but I think it's got lots of other applications as well. Okay, next question is from CocoB71, and CocoB71 says, hello, why you're not using PayPal? We are. I've mentioned this on several videos now. If you want PayPal on the Netrix, it's not an option that you can click on, but just go to, send an email to admin@thenetrix.com, and we can set it up on PayPal for you. We're in the process of updating the website, but and changing it around. So it has to be very different to the systems that the Netrix uses. But yes, we can accept PayPal. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Do me a favor. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This has been a long one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the comments and the answers. I really appreciate you asking the questions. If you didn't ask the questions, I wouldn't have anything to talk about. So thank you very much. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. And also, if you haven't already joined the Netrix, please do so. It's www.thenetrix.com. It's www.thenetrix.com. It's exciting on Monday because Mondays are upload day. So on Monday, tomorrow, we've got an upload. We've got 5 new routines hitting the Netrix on Monday, as well as new content for the silver level subscribers, tons of new content for the silver level subscribers, and also new sleight schools as well. So there's a load of stuff going up on Monday. And also next week we'll be getting the N9 trick up that I talked about as well. So if you're a subscriber, there's a lot to look forward to. If you haven't and subscribed yet, go check out the Netrix online. Either way, thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV, and I really appreciate you carrying on watching these videos. At 9 o'clock tonight, I've got a review show special on the book, the new book on the Svengali deck, by Ben Harris. So go check that out. There's some live performances and an interview with Ben. I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.